Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. For those of you who don't know, I've been reviewing Luc Besson's Arthur Trilogy. I started with Arthur and the Invisibles. Let's get a story recap for those who didn't see my review.
Arthur and the Invisibles is an animated / live-action fantasy adventure. Set in the 1960s, it follows Arthur, a happy-go-lucky little boy who is living with his granny. Every night, Granny tells Arthur about the legend of the Minimoys, a species of tooth-sized elfin creatures. One day, Granny is threatened with eviction unless she can pay her debts back. Luckily, apparently Arthur's granddad was given some rubies by a tribe he helped. After much searching, Arthur discovers that the Minimoys have been living in their back garden all this time. Not only that, he also finds out that the rubies are being kept inside their world. So, Arthur decides to enter the Minimoys realm and is turned into a Minimoy in the process. Once inside, Arthur must not only try to find the rubies, but also defeat the evil Malthazar, who plans to drown the Minimoys.
I found this to be a very generic, unimpressive, and average movie. I then moved on to Arthur and the Revenge of Malthazar. Let's get a story recap for those who didn't see the review for this one.
Arthur and the Revenge of Malthazar is a French animated / live-action fantasy adventure. The story follows Arthur again, who has recently passed a spiritual test for a tribe. He is very excited because he's going to be returning to the Minimoys world for a banquet. Unfortunately, Arthur's father is tired of staying at Arthur's grandparents' home, so the family have to leave, which is terrible timing because the Minimoys have sent a message for help to Arthur. Arthur escapes his car and returns to his grandparents' house. With support from his granddad and the tribe, Arthur enters the Minimoys world and discovers that things have changed. So, what's going on? Is Princess Selenia okay, and is everything as it seems?
I found this to be a very underwhelming and boring entry into the franchise. In this episode, I'm going to review the third and final part of the Arthur trilogy, Arthur 3, The War of Two Worlds.
Arthur 3, The War of Two Worlds is a French live-action / animated fantasy action adventure. It follows Arthur as he tries to find a way to become human size again, so that he can defeat Malthazar, who has become 7 feet tall. With help from Selenia and Betamesh, Arthur travels to his grandparents' house to find a potion to restore his size. Unfortunately, Malthazar's son Darkos is hot on our hero's tails. Meanwhile, Malthazar has taken over Arthur's town and is causing lots of chaotic destruction. So, can Arthur return to his full size in time to stop Malthazar and his minions? After 2 mediocre movies in his franchise, Besson has managed to create a gripping third installment that may be flawed, but certainly a step up from the first 2 films. The stakes have risen, and there's much more on offer this time. There's no patronizing narrator or long-winded flashbacks too. It's a good effort that deserves a little praise. The fight sequences are lots of fun due to the aggressive and slick choreography that's supported by wild quick-cut editing. The set pieces are very tense and imaginative too, thanks to a riveting pace and creative ideas. For example, in one scene our heroes are trying to make a deal with a swarm of bees, while some firefighters are about to destroy their hive, as requested by Arthur's dad because he fears for Arthur's allergy of bee stings. Yes, Arthur's dad is a twit because he should be looking for Arthur, but it's an effectively tense moment because so much is on the line. The hive is about to go up in flames, and Arthur needs the bees' help, but their stings could be fatal to him. It's exciting sequences like this that really carry the movie and elevate it above the previous films. This was the first entry in the Arthur franchise that kept me glued to the screen all the way through. Everything feels bigger, more exciting, and more dramatic. However, I wouldn't go as far as calling this an underrated masterpiece that deserves more recognition. No, it's good, but not that good. The film is let down by several problems, the biggest one being that it tries way too hard to be funny. Some scenes are effectively comical, but this sequel is clearly wanting to be consistently funny. Sometimes it's too desperate for laughs though, so jokes can fail to bring a chuckle. There's loads of forced slapstick that gets very annoying. because there's only so many times you can make a character fall over, get hurt, or bang their head until it becomes redundant. Maybe small children will be entertained by these constant pratfalls, but personally, I found most of the physical comedy to be tiresome and contrived. Slapstick is at its best when it's well-timed, inventive, and surprising. Without the right level of timing or creativity, slapstick can come across as cheap and desperate. Putting aside the strained and overdone slapstick, there are a few laughs to be had from Maltazar's minions as usual.
See, Chief, that hole's too small. We'll never make it through. He's right, Chief. Go around, you idiots. Right, Chief.
Plus, it's hard not to laugh at Maltazar casually walking around with a pretty umbrella. My other problem has to be that there are a few pointless scenes, like Arthur's mum's encounter with a giant ant. It serves no major purpose and holds the story up. There's also a long-winded sequence where Maltazar disguises himself as a human so that he can get inside Arthur's grandparents' house and steal the enlarging potion. There's no point to the cover-up though. What is he afraid of if he goes into the house as himself? He's a 7-foot monster who can throw tribal warriors into bloody walls. He could easily just wander into the house, push everyone out the way, and grab the potion. Ta-da! There's no point for this disguise. It holds the film up and feels unnecessary.
Of course, Maltazar doesn't know the location of the potion, but what's stopping him from simply threatening the family until they reveal where it is? That's what he ends up doing anyway once his identity is revealed. So why didn't he do that in the first place? Like I said, there's no point for his disguise. Why is he wasting time tricking old people until he can gain their trust? He's supposed to be a merciless and ruthless villain.
Arthur may not be as spirited or playful as he was in the first film, but at least he showcases some smart decisions and practical creative ideas. For example, he turns an abandoned police badge into a mode of transportation for one scene, and he uses bees to communicate with his mum to let her know that he's in the hive. Princess Selenia is thankfully not a boring damsel in distress like she was in the second film. Fortunately, she's gone back to being a tough and no-nonsense warrior. She's brave, confident, and feisty. Although, I think she can get a little annoying because sometimes she comes off as sour, whiny, and bitter. Why? She spends half the movie snapping and complaining. Betamesh is lively and bouncy as usual, plus he does have a laugh or two. However, his bickering with his sister Selenia can become aggravatingly tiresome. He does make good use out of his gadget he carries though. Maltazar or Malfazar or Malfazard or blah blah blah, whatever name this franchise wants to call him, is a bit more threatening compared to his presence in the second film. He's suave, slick, and intimidating. However, we sadly don't get to dive much into his character because he's busy focused on taking over Arthur's town. Dark Horse has to be my favourite character in this film. No kidding. Sure, he's the worst case for my problem with the film's forced clumsiness, but he's the only character we get to know more. It turns out he has father issues, and he's become sick of being abandoned by Maltazar. This inspires him to join forces with the good guys. Thanks to some decent writing, Dark Horse comes off as a badass, but also sympathetic and kind of funny. He seems like the most real and organic character in the movie. Arthur's parents are annoying idiots as usual. They've lost their son and don't know where he is, but rarely act like it. Arthur's dad is still shook up after seeing Maltazar, so I can see why he seems a bit lost throughout the movie. However, this doesn't explain why he randomly wants to destroy the hive instead of search for his son. Perhaps he just wanted to regain a sense of power after feeling confused, weak, and useless during all the film's drama, which makes him come across as a selfish asshole. Arthur's mum, on the other hand, is so casual and upbeat for most of the film, even though her son is missing. I know she's supposed to be a light-hearted and fluffy character, but come on! Her son has vanished and she's acting like today is just any other day.
Now, perhaps this is her way of coping with Arthur's disappearance, sort of a mechanism. But she acts too laid back, which raises the question, does she even care about her son in the first place?
I think they only show concern for Arthur once or twice towards the end of the film. For the rest of the time, they're just goofing about. Why aren't they crying about their son being missing? Why are they not talking to their neighbours about their missing son? Why are they not contacting the police about their missing son? Why are they not gathering a search party to find their missing son? Oh, by the way, guys, your son is missing. Go find him.
I don't think that Arthur's parents have any excuses at all because they've had loads of opportunities to go find Arthur. At the start of the film, a police officer comes over to question Arthur's dad about his sighting of Maltazar. Why didn't Arthur's mum or dad at that time raise their hand and say, "By the way, officer, our son has gone missing. We're very worried about him. Can you send a search party or make an investigation?" Huh? Why? What's stopping you from doing that? Now, perhaps they told the police before the third movie. Well, if this is the case, then why didn't they take this opportunity to question the officer? "Have you got any updates on our missing son, officer?" Even Arthur's granny actually picks up a phone and rings someone to ask them, "Have you seen my missing grandson?" Now, of course, this breaks continuity because Arthur's grandma knows that Arthur is stuck in the Minimoys world. But at least she's doing more than Arthur's parents.
Arthur's granddad, Archibald, is the most active family member, but that's because he knows what's going on. This raises a question. Why can't Archibald tell everyone where Arthur is and why fantasy creatures are popping up everywhere? His stubborn decision to keep everything a secret not only makes some characters seem useless or helpless, but also puts Arthur in danger during the hive scene.
What risk is Archibald afraid of if he tells everyone where Arthur is and what the Minimoys world is? I mean, they've already met Maltazar, so I'm sure that any other strange and scary updates won't be as shocking or surprising. I think that they deserve every right to know where Arthur is. In fact, they could help if they knew what was going on. They could grab a magnifying glass and go searching through the garden for Arthur, or they could join the fight against Maltazar. What's wrong with you, Archibald? Why are you hiding all this from everyone? Give them some use and purpose in the story!
Now, the animation for this movie is in the same quality level as the second film. The body gestures and actions are expressive enough to convey certain emotions or feelings, while the faces do little in comparison. They pull an expression or two now and again, but most of the time, characters' faces are limited to blank stares. The best acting, in my opinion, comes from Maltazar, whose movement and expressions reflect his sinister personality. Even his walk seems intimidating. His face is also the most expressive out of all the characters. He can look angry, scary, confident, or even afraid. What more can I say? It's a decent effort, but not a major improvement, sadly. Freddie Highmore once again plays Arthur. Highmore's voice acting is still weak thanks to a lack of energy or motion, however, his live acting towards the end of the film is enthusiastic and decent. Highmore seems more sincere, organic and natural in his live action scenes.
Selenia, you have no idea what 7 foot is. Despite all its powers, your sword will be useless. He'll use it to pick his teeth. You have to lie low for a while, whilst I convince them you really are a good guy.
Do you really think that?
Of course. You're wonderful. And I'm really proud to count you as my friend.
Princess Selenia is voiced by Selena Gomez. Now, this is possibly the first time I've witnessed Gomez in a full acting performance. To be honest, she actually does a good job. She captures her character spot on by sounding effectively vigorous and bold. There's a lot of tenacity in her delivery.
Bravo, Arthur. The perfect solution. Now maybe you'll tell us how you plan on growing us. Maybe gulping down tons of selenial soup to make a quick gain of, 1 millimeter.
Beta Mesh is voiced by Doug Rand. Once again, Rand does an okay job of sounding cheerful and nimble.
Awesome. Great speech, sis. Meantime, the sword's still in the stone.
Peter, tell me.
Yes?
It's been a long time since I've beat you up, hasn't it?
No.
Maltazar is voiced by Lou Reed. I still think that his casting was a mistake. Now, don't get me wrong, Reed can certainly act. He has an ability to sound natural and unrehearsed. However, he just doesn't fit the role like David Bowie did. Reed sounds too normal and casual for the part of a villain. There's no malice or menace in his delivery.
Ah, in another life I had the privilege of watching you cook, and I have to admit I was very impressed. I can't judge the quality of the meals you prepared because my tongue is completely insensitive.
Darkos is voiced by Iggy Pop. Now, Darkos' voice in the first film sounded more like Neil Goldman and didn't fit his design. Pop manages to take Jason Bateman's original voice from the first film and make it sound way more intimidating. However, it's sometimes hard to hear what he's saying because he barks and growls most of his lines.
Wait, friend! I want to go with you. I know my father. I could be very useful to you.
I'm afraid you'll take us over the weight limit.
Oh, don't leave me here. I don't want to be all on my own. I'll grow up real small.
Darkos, wait here for us. I give you my word we'll come back for you.
For the most part, the music isn't that noticeable, but it does its job well. It supports battle scenes by having epic and grand compositions. It also sounds happy and jolly during uplifting scenes, without trying too hard like it did in the first film. Plus, sentimental scenes are accompanied by soft piano pieces that reflect a character's emotions or feelings. However, like I said, I didn't really pay attention to it until I played it back so I could write about it. So yeah, it's good, but it's not bound to draw you in.
To conclude, Arthur 3: The War of Two Worlds is action-packed, gripping, and very tense at times too. Yes, a lot of the physical comedy can be contrived or forced. Of course, Arthur's mum and dad don't act like parents of a missing child, and yeah, there's a lot of pointless or silly or forced scenes. But I think it's better than the first two films. Yeah, which isn't saying much, but still, I think it's a good effort. I'm going to give it 3 strawberries out of 5. Now, if there's some of you still wondering if this film is your cup of tea, then consider this. If you enjoyed such titles as Epic, Ferngully, or Transformers, then you may get something out of Arthur 3. I've been Jambareeqi, and I hope you've enjoyed my review. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, and I encourage you to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. In the next episode, I'm going to review the anime movie Steam Boy. Also, I'm going to be hosting 2 panels at the anime convention Alcon in Leicester this September. These panels will be how to make a review series and how to make a student animation. If you're interested in these panels, then head to the Alcon website to register now. Cheerio, folks.